and to give hope, for the new generation of the entrepreneurs. And you always need to be optimistic, right? Because, to start a company and to be an entrepreneur usually is not realistic. But yes, so I think focusing on the future and investing in infrastructure and also maybe to see entrepreneurs going into politics, right? And trying to influence from the inside. So this could help us to build the right resilience to the future.
Interesting. Noam, let's speak about early stage startups. How can financial and professional infrastructure support early stage startups in today's uncertain climate?
I think the support in early stages is critical. When you start a company, you think about the technology risk, you think about the product risk, you think about the market risk, right? But running a company goes way beyond that, right? Like building an organization, understanding the HR dynamics and so on, raising money. There's a lot of things you need to understand in building a company that lasts, that has nothing to do with the product or technology, which is typically the key things to worry about. And so the support you can get, you should get wherever you can. You can get it from the different investors. By the way, I think that it's key to understand and get it from your investor that have seen other ventures starting before. There are so many great accelerators and so on. But you can get it also from professional service firms that you work with, whether it's legal firms or accounting firms that have worked with many others. I think one of the key things that do happen in Israel, and I think that I've seen that. I worked in EY in the Palo Alto office many years ago, and I think I've seen that in the Silicon Valley, not necessarily in many other places in the world, that the ecosystem here in Israel really works in concert. It's very unique. It's very easy to connect, and we do that all the time at EY. You connect one entrepreneur to the other, they help each other. They help each other through how do you cope with different type of situations. A situation may be vis-a-vis an investor, vis-a-vis a client, vis-a-vis employees, executives, your co-founders. There's so many things you need to address. And I think that the support you can get from other entrepreneurs, from professional services firms, and so on, is crucial for the success. And we've been working together many years, and we've seen there's so many things that happens throughout the way. And if you can get the help, get it.
I think that's why we are all here, no? Just to help each other. Irit, what signals do international investors look for before committing to Israeli ventures today?
Look, so GS Growth is a growth stage investor, and obviously we're looking kind of for financial performance, traction, etc. But I think across the different stages, what's always put as number one, and before or after the war, it's always kind of the same. It's the team, the founders, that are building the companies. For us, this is the number one signal that we're investing in people at the end. And I think that in Israel, we've seen something kind of very unique. We've seen a maturing of the ecosystem. You have now second or third time entrepreneurs, very strong entrepreneurs in the market that understand already how to scale companies. It's no surprise that we've seen exits like Wiz in the current market, and I'm certain we'll see more of them in the next years. So I think for us, it's kind of, and that resilience that we talked about is kind of spoiling over into kind of how do you build defensible products as well that have a true moat, deep tech, and the focus on the time, resources, and investment spent on deep technology products here in Israel is very strong. So these are kind of the signals that we are looking for as an investor.
Amazing. Tom, give us some inside information from scaling Verbit. How can startups today that are trying to grow in a more complex geopolitical environment, what should they do? How can they scale their business?
So two main insights. One, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Okay, what does it mean? Strategy, you can always change a strategy. And in Verbit, we had, to change our strategy. And because we had such a core culture of working together and winning together, this is what, help us to cross through the challenges. This is one. And number two is like profitable growth. What does it mean? So I remember, everyone's saying we need to grow at all costs. We were tripling, we were doubling, reached to over 100 million in ARR. And then suddenly Noam said, if you want to go public, you need to be profitable. And no one told me before what is to be profitable. And then you need to change.
Always ask Noam.
Yeah, all the investor. And then you need to change. So now when I invest in company, I'm involved in companies, you always focus in profitable growth from the early days to make sure the unit economics make sense and you don't depend on investors' money.
Awesome. Noam, what sectors are emerging as growth engines for Israel toward 2030?
Israel invests mainly currently in the mainstream tech, right? Like whether it's cyber, cloud, infrastructure, AI and so on, and AI across all verticals and so on. Dror mentioned before the importance of deep tech and bio, but I want to talk about something a little bit different. I think when we look at the Israeli ecosystem, we need to acknowledge that the technology ecosystem here has changed, the landscape has changed. 10, 15 years ago, it was about small startups and few large companies. We did have few tens of public companies, but mostly younger startup, and it's completely changed, right? Like the major boom and the money that was put into the Israeli tech in between 2018 to 2022, and by the way, even now, we just saw $10 billion last year, created something different. There's a lot of private companies that are mature and do not necessarily go public because the markets are not open. And so unlike what we've seen before, there's many private companies that have tens of millions of dollars of companies. By the way, we would estimate that there's 60 to 70 or maybe even more Israeli companies with more than 100 million, private Israeli companies with more than $100 million in revenues. And many others that have a lot of money still in the bank that they can continue and invest. And many of them will not go public. Many of them do not necessarily have the growth that is required to go public. So we're going to see some change. Not only startups that are being sold or very large companies that are going public, we'll see tech companies going to private equity, tech companies that are becoming profitable and still have 5 to 10%. The market matures. And that brings me to something that I do think we need to make an investment in as a country. In order to allow the market to really mature, we need more non-R&D functions in Israeli companies, right? So all the investment, including investment that the Israeli Innovation Authority is doing, most of that money goes to R&D, which is one of the key things, but not necessarily the only one. In order to make sure that large companies grow here, there's needs to be an investment in companies and to incentivize them that when they take financial, HR, finance, HR, marketing, product, and other positions, sales, they wouldn't do it in the US. They'll do it in Israel. So the ecosystem as a whole would be able to grow.
Amazing. Irit, how can public and private sectors collaborate more effectively to attract long-term capital and foster innovation?
Yeah, I think Dror was here on stage just before our panel, and it's incredible what the Israel Innovation Authority is doing to foster and grow the ecosystem here in Israel. I think continuous kind of funding into talent, into academia, universities, to create the very kind of next wave of the next generation of founders and tech talent. Invest in the infrastructure. We're talking about AI, everything Gen AI, increasing kind of funding of infrastructure projects to support our efforts in critical areas such as cybersecurity, AI, digital health, etc. And then just generally, I think having kind of a pro-innovation, kind of growth-oriented mindsets together, remove barriers, as Dror spoke about. I think those are kind of the things that we can collaborate on.
Awesome. Tom, how do you see Israeli tech culture evolving over the next 5 years, and what needs to change?
It's an interesting question. So I think what we're going to see is, so we're going to see more repeat entrepreneurs, second time, third time, starting companies, right? They can retire, but like me, they choose to go again and to build more companies. So I'm optimistic about that and the knowledge they accumulate over the years. But what needs to be changed? So two aspects. One, I would say, going to more, healthcare or climate tech, like not the usual suspect. You go for security, AI, etc. So I think like the choice I did to go focus on much tougher in the bio that Drew mentioned is growing. So you need those brain of the experienced founder going to the more challenging. So this is what needs to be changed. And second, if you think about in first grade today, almost 50% are minorities, like ultra-Orthodox and Arabs. We need to see them reflected in the companies to hire more of those people. So.
Yeah. So we almost, our time is almost end, but a question with like a short answer. What is harder to raise in Israel, your next round or kids?
The one with most experience in raising kids?
I never raised money myself, right? So, but I can recommend and I can advise, right? But I think Israel is a challenging country, but it makes people here very resilient, you know. I was told once by somebody that one of the things that the army does in Israel is the sense of ability that it brings to young people. Like, you feel that you can do something very early on. It's not about, by the way, it's not about technology edge, and if you can be a combat soldier, like Tom, and you get a sense at the age of 18 that you can do things, right? Like you have the competence.
It's the best accelerator in the world.
Yes, and it accelerates and everything. And I think this is what we have. I would just say, I strongly believe in Israel. I strongly believe in our entrepreneurial spirit, in our creativity, and I think that Rakefet said that before, and in our resilience, and we proved it this year. And I do think that with the new AI development and marketing tools, our entrepreneurs will get wings, and the ecosystem here will boom. I'm sure about that.
Tom?
Should be a short answer. I would say kids. So.
Kids are around. Irit, summarize it for us.
Wow.
You have a lot of kids, no?
I have a lot of kids. And as an anecdote, maybe kind of personally, I grew up in Switzerland, and I still decide to be here and raise my kids here. So probably that says something about my optimism and belief in the country. And I think we're on the map. Israel is on the map. We'll continue to be on the map. It's a very challenging time that we're going through, but I think it's the belief, the resilience, kind of, and the culture that Tom spoke about that kind of makes us kind of going. And no matter what, we'll continue moving forward, continue to innovate and build. So,
thank you so much for inspiring an
Thank you.
optimistic panel.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks.